Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Mr. Zombie here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 6 of What If Izuku Had a Villain Quirk. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. So, we begin. The trio of hero students walked to the shore, Asui having jumped just before it. Izuku began to mutter to himself about how their ludicrous plan had actually worked, which was promptly cut off by Sue, as she declared it to be rather creepy. She suggested to her classmate that instead of second-guessing their choices, they proceed to come up with another plan. Harlequin eyes scan the area as he points along the shoreline, estimating that if they followed it, they could make it to the exit while avoiding the central plaza completely and successfully return with proper assistance. The only female in the group expressed agreement at the statement as thoughts of how Aizawa was faring against those villains began to fill Midoriya's head.
If he doesn't get some backup, then he's just going to overexert himself, the teen said. He'll end up being defeated by those villains because he was trying to keep us safe.
His two teammates caught on with what he was saying. Mineta instantly stated that he was insane. The jungle-haired boy tried to explain that they didn't have to jump straight into the fight, but if they could manage to ambush a few villains around the perimeter, they could lighten their teacher's load. Meanwhile, within the landslide zone, a heterochromatic boy walked along frozen villains, a neutral look on his face as he journeyed deep into thought. Shoto began reviewing all that he knew, pondering how those villains planned to kill All Might, acknowledging how he at first thought they had assembled a mass of heinous criminals to do that, but dismissed it as he dodged a blow from behind and froze the attacker. He knew that 4 to 5 of the villains were the only capable ones there, but that he'd also needed more information in order to draw up the correct plan. He turned to the group of frozen villains with a scathing look.
Listen well. If you stay frozen, your cells will slowly die as your bodies succumb to frostbite and hypothermia.
The words stuck disbelief into the heathens as he continued.
Luckily for you, I want to be a hero, so I'd like to avoid any unnecessary cruelty. But I can only do that if you tell me how you plan to kill All Might. That's the only way you'll survive.
A scream of terror echoed out of the mountain zone as a lightning-haired boy dodged a blow from a colossal villain as he took a stand next to 2 of his classmates. Kyoka Jiro was deflecting blows from a villain with a machete while Yaoyorozu was doing so with a bow staff. She quickly cut off his panicking as she yelled that they needed to get away from the situation as soon as humanly possible. Denki attempted to ask for a weapon, only for the punk girl next to him to, in blunt terms, tell him to shut up and just use his electricity quirk to fry his enemies. The male let out a cry of frustration as he reminded her of the combat training they had done together.
Oh, I can cover my body with electricity, but if I try to shoot it out, it goes everywhere. If I tried, I'd fry all of you too, unless you were hoping for some shock treatment.
In what could only be seen as a combination of frustration, intelligence, and passive-aggressive behavior, the earphone girl kicked Kaminari into a villain, who was promptly and painfully electrocuted, as the one doing the electrocution complimented his classmate's quick thinking, earning a simple compliment of how exhausted he was. Several villains attempted to assist their comrade by attacking the boy, only to be captured or disarmed by his 2 classmates and joined in on the electrocution circle. Jiro plugged her headphone jacks into her boots and began blasting forth her heartbeat as a deafening sound towards her adversaries. Yaoyorozu suddenly disarms a villain coming from above before hunching over, a glow emanating from her back as she created what looked like to be a blanket, earning her some taunts.
You're looking at a sheet of insulation about 100 millimeters thick. Kaminari?
She eyes the boy next to them and winks as a smirk forms on his face. No longer having to hold back, he lets loose a potent discharge of electricity, frying all the villains in the vicinity. The taller female expressed concern over her classmates, dismissing her more coherent classmates' worries about her costume as Denki stumbles around like an idiot after short-circuiting his brain. Returning to the squad of Izuku, Sue, and Mineta, the trio were raising carefully out of the zone, peeked over to see their teacher easily taking out enemies left and right. The scraggly-haired hand villain from earlier suddenly charged forward at Eraserhead, a plan already formulated in his mind as the hero before him collided into a hold with him.
It was hard to see when you were jumping around, but I found your tell. It's your hair.
The villain's words caused Shoto's eyes to widen.
When it drops, it means you stopped your quirk. You're having to blink more often. Don't push yourself too hard now. You might just fall apart. Wouldn't that be a shame?
As the deranged man spoke, the clothes around the area he was holding onto disintegrated. The decay then spreaded painfully into Mr. Aizawa's elbow.
Midoriya quietly gasped in shock and stood straight up from his hunched position as his teacher kicked Shigaraki away. He then proceeded to dodge the villains that attempted to finish him off in his injured state, clutching his damaged arm. The blue-haired psychopath rose from where he was sent flying as he taunted the pro hero before him, commented on his weakness in fighting big groups and how much better he was at stealth attacks. As the man continued talking, a tired Aizawa quickly dealt with the villains nearest to him before turning his back to the monologuing figure.
Oh, and by the way, hero,
the Eraser hero felt a presence behind him and quickly snapped around.
As you can tell, I'm not the final boss.
The students watched as the abomination attacked their teacher. A splatter of blood sailed through the air. Horror was etched onto each and every one of their faces as grotesque sounds echoed into the air. Back at the entrance of the facility, 13 was currently using her quirk to prevent the misty-bodied fiend from teleporting anyone else.
Ah, black hole. The quirk that sucks up matter and turns it into dust. Such an astounding power. However, you're a rescue hero, 13, skilled at saving people from disasters. Consequently, that means you have little fighting experience.
A warp gate suddenly popped into existence behind the rescue hero as her own quirk was used against her.
How unfortunate. It appears as if you've turned yourself into dust.
The projection of the quirk stopped as the pro apologized to the students around her, as Sato shouted for Ida to go, who after a brief moment of hesitation, took off at blinding speed. The warp and mastermind noticed and was quick to open a gate right in front of the team. He turned his foot and he valiantly tried to stop, until Shoji charged forward and caught the vapor's form in front of Tenya, allowing him to once more take off. An angry voice boomed as the entirety of the fog stretched itself towards to engulf the speedy student. A villain erupted from the ground elsewhere, announcing its presence to the pupils in the landslide area. Todoroki was sprinting away, mind moving even faster than he was, and the trio of students at the center plaza could only stand still in shock. The insane hand-covered villain introduced the monstrous form pinning a bloody eraser head to the ground.
He's a bioengineered enemy of the symbol of peace, but you can call him Nomu.
The beaked monstrosity opened its jaw to let out a disgusting cry. In the collapse zone, Bakugo made short work of the villains attacking him. Kirishima easily dealt with the ones who attempted to fight him as well. Crimson eyes from the blonde darted around briefly, declaring that they had seemed to have taken care of all the felons attacking them. Alright, let's hurry and find the rest of our class. If we're still here in the USJ, then everyone else probably is too. And not all of them have the offensive skills we do. The scarlet-haired youth began to think of what actions had brought them here. We gotta make sure they're safe, especially since we screwed things up when we got in the way earlier. If 13 had been able to suck up that villain, we never would have been separated like this. We have to make it up to the others. Bakugo told Kirishima he would have to look for them on his own, as he was going after the golden-eyed portal master. This shocked the other boy, who tried to talk him out of it, only to be angrily dismissed as the blonde pointed out that the villain was their way in and out, and by taking him out they would be stuck. The hand of the explosive teenager grabbed something invisible and let loose a merciless explosion, revealing some sort of camouflage attacker. The two briefly talked between themselves before the shark-toothed male smiled. Claiming that he knew what his friend was trying to say was that he was believed that the other fellow classmates could handle themselves, declaring him manly for thinking so. Elsewhere in the Squall and Fire Zones, Ojiro, Tokoyami, and Koda were fighting off villains, trying to slowly reduce their numbers. An equal effort was put forth back at the trance, with Ochako grabbing some sort of armor piece that the warping creep was wearing to toss it high into the air, to buy Tenya more time. The Hero Legacy student reached the doors and slowly pried them open. Sero and Sato also pitched in to prevent the villain from getting to their classmate. The teens successfully exited the building and used a boost to go call for backup, which was picked up by the golden-eyed fog villain who knew their attack would soon be over. At the center of the plaza, a cry of pain echoed from the greasy-haired teacher of 1A as the disgusting entity crushed his arm in his grasp. He attempted to erase the quirk of the thing only for another one of his bones to be snapped like a twig. The thing picked up its head and nonchalantly slammed it into the ground, leaving a 3-inch deep crater. Mineta quietly whispered in horror as Asui sunk into the water.
Sue shaking next to him as the shortest one suggested that they quickly leave. From nothing, the misty form identified as Kurogiri was quick to inform that a student had escaped from his grasp. This clearly panicked the man, who began nervously scratching at his neck, knowing they wouldn't be able to win if dozens of pros began to show up on the scene. The three felt a small pulse of relief, a big one in Minoru's case as he hugged Sue, groping her breast in the process, disgusting the froggy hero to the point where she submerged the young purple boy into the water. She pointed out something was awfully suspicious about this, and Midoriya agreed. He began analyzing their situation and made note of how surely the villains would know that Yue would beef up their security, and that All Might, whom they wished to kill, was obviously going to show up. Suddenly, glaring red eyes peered behind a hand as he lunged forward, commenting on how they would break the symbol of peace. Clearly aiming to use his quirk on the frog quirked student, he reached out and touched her, and nothing happened. He let out a humorous laugh as he commented on how cool Eraserhead was, the man erasing his quirk before any harm could come to the girl. Acting quickly and on instinct, Izuku let loose a plume of gas right at the villain. "Sue, Mineta, go underwater, now!" He knew they would be incapacitated if they breathed in his toxin, unlike himself who had a natural immunity to it. "It'll be fine, just do it, go!" The shorter boy needed no further prodding while the female hesitated, and her eyes widened as she pointed a warning to her friend, causing him to turn and see a tar-skinned beast standing in front of him as the gas began to dissipate. Shigaraki was seen coughing.
What the hell? What the hell was that? Some sort of gas quirk?
He coughed a few more times as he paused before laughing.
I don't feel any different at all. I'm guessing you must have some sort of smokescreen quirk. Well, too bad for you. You're still not getting away.
Nomu harshly grabbed Izuku as the man reached out to use his quirk on the green-necked girl still in the water, when a giant boom of a sound echoed throughout the USJ facility. The figure of All Might drew attention as he stepped into the building with a scowl on his face.
Well, finally after all this time, it looks like our little game's about to continue.
Thank you all for indulging yourselves in the story thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before this video ends. Firstly, we got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes deeper into the facts and lore of a wide variety of anime. It's sure to expand your weeb knowledge for all kinds of series, guaranteed. On top of that, we have a third channel called We the Celestials Naruto What Ifs. It's what we do on this channel already, but in the vast world and lore of Naruto, so go check it out if you're in the mood for some jujitsu action. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here on We the Celestials, then I would like to extend out an invitation to join the crew. The only caveat being we only accept members 16 years and up to join the crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. Our Discord is an all-around fantastic place to be, whether you're a fan or looking to join our band of misfits. We're always looking for more and more members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching and have a great day.